If you have been watching this channel for any amount of time, you would know that I'm a big fan of using colored lights. Like, a lot. Some call it a style, I call it a crutch. But I do use them for a specific reason. Throughout my years of filmmaking, I have learned that you need to make something look as good as possible on set before you start doing anything in post. You see, before, I used to color grade all of my images to have some amount of color contrast, which, in hindsight, always made my work look worse, because when you color grade, it should either be subtle or fit the theme of the piece. So, using colored lights, I can achieve that color contrast right on set. And the way I do use this is using RGB lights, and one of the first of 3 RGB lights I am reviewing today are the LIFX A19. You wouldn't think to use these lights first for content creation, but they are pretty cheap, and also you can make your room look cool, because, you know, that's what these were designed to do. But for my first few videos, I actually only used these lights. In fact, for my Blue Yeti review, my key light, my kicker light, and my background light was all done using these bulbs. I did find using these kind of difficult, however. For starters, you have to connect them to Wi-Fi if you want to make any adjustments, which means if you're moving around to multiple locations, it could have some issues connecting to the Wi-Fi, which basically means you cannot adjust any settings at all. Also, there is the other issue of finding ways to mount this light. Most of the time, I ended up connecting this light to a lamp, but that did limit my mounting options and had me improvise a lot on set, and it was definitely a pain in the ass. But this could be alleviated if you have a softbox laying around. In that case, you can mount it any which way you would mount a normal light. And this is more of a personal problem, but since I use these as my actual bedroom lights, having to remove them and then put them back, and then having to remove them, put them back, remove them, put them back, was sort of an inconvenience. Though, to be fair, these were not made for filmmaking. They do work far better as practicals. Just having these lights in a room can change a lot of the ways you make a set look. It is a crazy powerful tool that you see tech YouTubers use everywhere. I do like these lights a lot, but more for the fact that they make my room look cool rather than for any filmmaking applications. But, of course, that's where the next light comes in, the Yongnuo YN600 RGB. These were actually made for filmmaking, and they work pretty decently for only $100. One huge advantage these lights have over the competition is that they can be used as a pretty decent fill light, since it has a large panel with a built-in frost filter. Not just that, it comes with its own remote, which is crazy useful for one-man band stuff, much like what I'm doing right now. And it's not a crappy remote either. It lets you hook up to 10 different lights and control one with as much precision as the manual controls. But they are cheaply made. So don't expect them to last terribly long if you have a more run-and-gun style of shooting. Still, these are fantastic lights. They have RGB, can be used decently as a fill, and I can see this being really useful in somebody's first light kit. And last, but certainly not least, is the Luxley Viola. This light is amazing. It's small, bright, easy to use, and has really good build quality. But it's better for $250. Sure, I got mine on sale for about $200, but still, that's really expensive for such a small light. When you have companies like Aputure giving us brighter, smaller LED lights, it can be kind of a tough sell unless you really need that RGB feature. And here's the thing, the RGB isn't that much brighter than the other lights I've shown you today. To be fair, there aren't a lot of fairly priced RGB lights out there today, and I don't consider this a waste of money, far from it. But it does fall closer to a luxury item. It's really good to have if you already have all your bases covered, but this light is not remotely necessary, especially when there's cheaper options out there. There are some great features that make this light worth it though, like the Bluetooth connectivity to an app that allows you to use your phone as a remote, which again is incredibly useful to me. You also gain access to all sorts of effects like strobe and rainbow, which aren't features I'm probably going to use anytime soon, but they are there and I can definitely see where it has its applications. The Luxy Viola is one of my favorite lights. I have used it so many times throughout this year, personal and professional. If you're looking for a super solid RGB light, this wouldn't be a bad one to get. Now, the thought may have crossed your mind throughout this whole review is that couldn't you just be using gels? I mean, gels have been used in theater for years and has been used in filmmaking for just as much time. Like, you could just be using gels to achieve this look instead of buying these super expensive lights. And that I say that I just don't like gels. I mean, sure, they're fine, but there's so many problems that I've had with them. For one thing, they take way longer to set up. Secondly, I have to cut them up individually for each and every light that I have that doesn't have something that I can attach it to with a clamp or whatever. And also, they can be a potential noise problem if this is flapping in the wind. And it just, I don't like them. I don't like using them unless I have to. But they are the more practical option for people who only need color every once in a while, as opposed to literally every film shoot. Of course, none of these colored lights purchases are necessary. But if you wanted to add a little bit of oomph into your light kit, I hope this video helped you on your search to finding some.